You're listening to episode 26 of Shack Together. Thanks for being here. Today is all about Zelda. We are positively tantalized by the Echoes of Wisdom info drop we got just a few days ago, and as a result, we've got Link on the brain. So in honor of that, we have six-time returning guest Donovan Erskine, fan favorite. With him, we do a fantasy draft for the Legend of Zelda universe items and abilities to see what our kit would be in a sports draft style. Afterward, we head over to Storytime where we learn a little bit more about the world of gaming. We touch on the abrupt shutdown of Game Informer, a miserable story, the delay of Avowed into February of next year. We have a review of Deathbound, some post-launch roadmap info on Star Wars Outlaws, a major update coming to Balatro, some PlayStation 5 sales numbers, some Nintendo revenue reports, as well as a few other non-gaming stories that include Reddit earnings, a Elon Musk and X lawsuit, and a certain OpenAI co-founder who is departing the company. Quite a lot to get into, so we thank you for joining us, and let's kick it off right now. Here we go.
So yeah, Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns.
Yeah.
He bought a tract of land in this town called Brook Park that isn't in Cleveland, and he wants to build like a similar to like what the Dallas Cowboys have, with Jerry World, or like I think the New England Patriots have it. Like there's the stadium, but then there's like hotels, casinos, like other stuff around it.
Yeah, the Bears are trying to do something similar.
Yeah, except like the Browns are trying to make it an indoor dome stadium, and it's also not in the city of Cleveland. So I think it's kind of lame on two fronts, right? But it's not uncommon, I guess, for football teams to not be in the city that they're named after. Like the New York Giants and the New York Jets, they both play in New Jersey.
Yep. There's only one team that plays in New York.
It's the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. And I don't know, the New England Patriots, like New England isn't even a city or a state, it's a region. I guess it doesn't matter where they are. But the idea that we're not going to have Cleveland Browns Stadium in Cleveland, it just doesn't sit well with me. And I don't even like the Browns anymore. And it's kind of decisions like this. Like, I don't know. Are you afraid coming into a dome in January?
No, but I think that a lot of franchises and the multi-billionaires that own them at this point are punting on, to use the little football pun, punting on having that advantage if it means having like a casino and businesses and bringing tourists in and essentially making more money and increasing your Super Bowl hosting odds. I think is what they're worried about at this point.
Okay, so you brought up something. Do you think people would want to go to Cleveland for a Super Bowl?
No, I mean,
Thank you. I rest my case.
No.
Why on earth would we host a Super Bowl in Cleveland? Because we built a stadium, right?
They would tie it in. The NFL would find a way to frame it into the entire, just like the history of the NFL and the Hall of Fame's down the street. They'd make they'd do it for like an anniversary year. They'd find a way to make it feel right. Now,
well, you bring up a good point.
Excited, but
the Hall of Fame stadium is a high school stadium here in Canton, and it's terrible, man. It's like the worst stadium. But like everyone's like, oh, they need to rebuild it. I'm like, with what funds? It's a high school stadium. And it's literally the city of Canton's high school, the Bulldogs. It's the McKinley Bulldogs. And it would be nice if the NFL just chipped in.
Just the history, at least the last decade, of teams building a new stadium and getting a Super Bowl within like 3 to 4 years. The Rams and Chargers, SoFi Stadium's already got they just had one. They think they've already got another one scheduled within the next half decade. Minnesota
and Detroit.
One. Are they getting one as well?
They did one. Remember Jerome Bettis won there?
Oh yeah, I was thinking of like recent.
I'm just thinking that's a cold weather city where they built a dome where they did host a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but my point is there's not enough hotels in Cleveland for a Super Bowl to come here. There's just not enough capacity. I don't think it makes any sense.
They'll put a 5-star hotel right next to the stadium for the Tom Brady's of the world who will fly in to be there
for 1 week. Like ever?
Hey, I'm not saying it'll be a smart decision.
This is such a stupid idea, man. Like, I just can billionaires just go a week without stepping on their dicks?
This is the franchise that gave, what was it, $500 million to Deshaun Watson, or maybe it was $250 million.
It was $250 million guaranteed.
Yeah, there you go.
To Deshaun Watson, and he has not played a full season since. So yeah, you're right. This would just be another cursed decision in a series of terrible decisions by the Cleveland Browns. But like, I'm not going to even call them the Cleveland Browns if they move to Brook Park. They're the Brook Park Browns, and they're soft as baby shit.
Hey, probably get more concerts.
Dude,
people might actually want to tour there. And
we just hosted SummerSlam in Cleveland Browns Stadium, and Jelly Roll burned it to the ground. That guy. Is there anyone having a better summer than Jelly Roll? Joe, do you know who Jelly Roll is?
Mortensen?
What? Jelly Roll Mortensen? Is that his last name?
I got the name wrong. Jelly Roll Morton. He's a pianist from like, the 40s or something.
Okay. That's not the Jelly Roll I'm talking about. Anyway, now that we're talking about wrestling, real quick, I cannot think of a more Cleveland event than Logan Paul walking out with MGK, Machine Gun Kelly for the kids at home, and just taking a giant L in front of Cleveland Browns Stadium. That was great. That was the most Cleveland thing ever. But yeah, back to the Browns real quick, though. Is this the closest they're ever going to get to a Super Bowl? Is that basically it? They're like, we're not going to win a Super Bowl. We're not even going to make a Super Bowl. We might as well bring a Super Bowl to the region.
We'll host one. Hey, that's big for local businesses and stuff. I'm sure they'd be pumped about it.
Yeah, it would be great if it was in the city you're named after, where there's already infrastructure to host stuff and bars and a casino. Everything you're talking about is already there, Donovan. The only difference is Jimmy Haslam doesn't own it.
Yeah,
that's the difference. When I see all these, I keep saying it on the weather report. I'm like, stop worshiping billionaires. The amount of Browns fans who are just like, we gotta trust Jimmy Haslam. Why? What has he given them since he took ownership that would give you any confidence that his decisions aren't self-serving?
Yeah, I mean,
he's the guy he made them draft Johnny Manziel, Donovan.
Oh, that was during his era. Gosh.
Yeah,
I thought
that was him.
After that,
that was his call.
Oh man, that's just modern NFL ownership. I think is a lot of these billionaires. This is just one of their revenue streams, just a wing of their financial empire.
Well, his financial empire is built on fraud. The Pilot Flying J stores. There's still an ongoing fraud investigation there. And the worst part is he used to own part of the Steelers. How did we let this happen?
Oh God,
how did we let a Steelers owner become the Browns owner?
That tells you everything you need to know.
But seriously, I can't. I don't like this trend of like a home field advantage outside. Like I went to Cleveland Browns Stadium on January 4th for a Monday Night Football game, and it was like -8 wind chill, and the wind was swirling. Like that's a home field advantage. An air-conditioned, heated dome in Cleveland? Not even in Cleveland? I don't know. Soft.
Yeah. You can kick from 70 yards.
NFL's gotten soft. Anyway, we can start the show. Grumble, grumble. Go Lions. But watch the Ravens win a Super Bowl in Cleveland, right?
That'd be so sick.
Watch that happen. And Donovan will never shut up about it if it happens. At this point, I don't even care. Go ahead, Lamar Jackson. There you go. There's your cold open, Joe.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
You're listening to Shack Together, a Shack News video game podcast where if you're not together, you're a listener. I'm your host, Asif Khan, and today I'm joined by our producer, Joe Stasio.
Hello.
And our news editor, Donovan Erskine.
What's up?
And maybe our co-host, John Benyamine, but he also might be on assignment. We don't know. He keeps running in with the steel chair halfway through the episode, so I don't want to say he's not joining us, or if he is. We don't know yet, so stay tuned.
I think he's an apparition.
You think he's... Oh, okay. I can see that. Like he's kind of haunting the podcast.
Yes.
So like he's basically here right now in the room with us, but we can't see him, and he hasn't farted or made any noise, so we can't detect him. Ghosts fart, right?
Let me just check the ticker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghosts do fart.
Well, there you have it.
It's good to know.
Wow.
Anyway, this is a video game podcast. Donovan.
Yes.
The thing that we ask people all the time on this show. What have you been playing lately?
Oh, That's a fun question because I've actually gone back to a couple of games that I want to put more hours into, including Marvel's Midnight Suns, which I still think is one of the most underrated games the last few years. I get sad when I play because I think of how bad it did. I never wrote credits on it, despite how many hours I put into it. So I've gotten back to that. I'm playing some more Persona 3 Reload.
Cool.
That's just a great video game that I want to kind of turn over every stone in. And I know they've got a DLC coming up as well, so I'd like to play that potentially. What else have I been getting into? Those have been the main ones. That and a whole lot of Mario Kart with the Shack staff.
Yeah, we have been playing kart quite a bit. We're on our way. We're on the road to the top 96. So we have the bottom 10, Joe. The worst 10 tracks in Mario Kart. We have that list now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're curious, I can give them to you right now. Number 96 is Baby Park, followed by Cheeseland, followed by New York Minute, and then Mushroom Gorge, Dry Desert, Ice Outpost, Grumble Volcano, Shroom Ridge, Shy Guy Falls, and Donut Plains 3.
Wow. A lot of heat.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's 96 tracks, and we're finding it. I think it's going to be a nightmare when we get to the top 10. Like, the amount of arguing that's going to occur.
It's going to be a bloodbath for sure.
So it's good that we started at the bottom, and now we're here.
I don't have a lot of conviction on the topic. I would struggle to weigh in on this. Not that you're asking me to, but that's what comes to mind.
My opinions have become more passionate the more we've played. I think if you just asked me cold turkey 3 months ago to pick some, I don't know, I might have just crapped out a list. But having now played through all of them again, I do feel a bit stronger.
I think it's also the way that we're approaching it. Like, we're talking about the tracks after we race them and stuff. So I think it's having that ongoing discussion is helping people notice things, or maybe someone did something on the track that no one else knew you could do, or a shortcut or something. Obviously there's the music in the game is outstanding too. So that factors into what we like or dislike in a track. But sure. Yeah, we've been doing that quite a bit. It's been a fun thing to do. If not one of the more daunting lists that we've attacked here at Shack News. But yeah, have you been playing any college football?
Oh yeah, a whole lot of college football. I don't know how I didn't mention that. I literally played that game this morning and last night. They just released a big patch for it.
Yeah,
I bounce around a lot. I have an online dynasty that I'm in with 6 friends. So whenever that's ready, whenever they advance the week, I jump in and do my stuff in there. I do not play Ultimate Team. Play a little bit of Road to Glory. Although after I won the national championship in Road to Glory, I kind of stopped playing it. But when the time comes to review Madden, I'll have to export my character.
Oh God!
Game. So
no, you can do that.
You can, yeah. Once you're a junior or senior, you can export your Road to Glory character to Madden, which they say all your stats stay there, and you get some bonuses in Madden for carrying your character over. So I can't wait to see what that is.
I mean, that's a good idea. I don't know how that you can report back on how that is actually executed, but it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a fun concept, and I think they had something like that way back in the day when the NCAA games were still coming out. Yeah,
you could export draft classes. I think it was a whole roster update. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'll get into that my playing of college football when I talk about my games. But yeah. I also have been playing Road to Glory, and I have some thoughts that I want to run by you about it.
Ooh,
but yeah, I didn't think it was bad. That's cool though. I'm gonna guess that John's still playing Elden Ring because that takes forever.
Yeah, this is the first week that I don't have sort of a John anecdote. I don't know what he's playing right now.
I'm gonna assume it's Elden Ring.
That sounds right.
Oh, you know what? On a previous appearance on this podcast for myself, I said I was probably going to beat Elden Ring before I beat Baldur's Gate 3, and I did. I beat Elden Ring last month.
Wow.
At least the base game. I started the DLC. I've not finished it.
Have you not beaten Baldur's Gate 3 because you just go on picnics with Shadowheart all the time?
Well, I mean, who can really say right? I mean, there's just so much side content in that game that I usually just get sidetracked and then eventually get burned out before I even reach the third act. But I did start a new playthrough a couple weeks ago, and I'm determined to power through it.
It's hard.
Yeah. I'm feeling the fatigue of playing the opening 10 hours of that game for the 11th time. But there's also a third of content that I just haven't even seen, so just trying to get to it.
It's cool.
Someday.
Joe, are you still playing Dragon Age?
Yeah, I am. I put some more hours in this week. I don't like it.
You don't?
No, I don't think it's very good. I think it's kind of boring.
Shack News Game of the Year 2014.
Yeah,
this is Inquisition we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Inquisition. Donovan, have you played Inquisition?
Maybe bits and pieces, not more than half an hour, I'm sure.
Have you played the other Dragon Age games?
No. Never got into
What
Dragon
I
Age.
like so much about the other Dragon Age games is that I think Thedas and Ferelden and all these settings of Dragon, I think it's all like it's not like a Wizards of the Coast thing as far as I'm aware. I think it's like a totally original universe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And that's really challenging. You don't see a lot of publishers taking that leap because the upfront pre-production on that is insane. Not to mention, people are going in ice cold. I mean, Mass Effect's a good example, right? Like, think about the years that went into conceiving all of that before anything was programmed. So it's a huge investment, and then there's the difficulty of that pilot episode factor of you're gonna have to introduce people that have no idea what you're talking about to your concepts. And I thought Origins and Dragon Age 2 were really triumphant in making me understand the politics of this, the push and pull of the mages versus the Templars, and all the nerdy stuff that we all like to make fun of. It was actually pretty cogent and interesting. And Dragon Age 2 in particular sticks out, and they did a very sort of Fallout New Vegas-y thing of who are you going to side with, who are you going to help in this sort of civil war that's going on. Inquisition is just messy. Forget all of my I haven't been quiet about the open world stuff I don't like, but even the plotting I find to be sort of incoherent is too strong. But I don't feel like I really grasp what's happening the way I did in the other two games. And maybe I'm just distracted, but I don't remember having to try and parse what was happening in the first two games, and this one I find really blurry in my head.
So you dislike this game so much that you picked up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again?
Yeah. I more specifically moved my PlayStation to a more convenient spot. And,
okay. And this is a PlayStation 5 we're talking about, right?
A 5.
So did you have a forklift to do that, or how did you move it?
I was actually remarking as I moved it how light it was. And then I put it on my desk, and I had to raise my speakers that are on little pedestals because the thing is so tall, it was blocking my speaker.
Make sure you're pointing the rear of the thing away from anything you value.
The rear is facing air. There's nothing behind it.
It's hot. That thing runs so damn hot.
Oh, yeah.
My Xbox is doing a fine job of protecting my Switch now. But yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. Nothing really. I'm still stuck in the same spot. It's just these games are they're too self-important. Both games, they're too self-important.
I feel that with the Final Fantasy VII remakes for sure.
Yeah, come on, give me a break here. Know your role.
Too much pomp and circumstance in this game.
Yeah. And I know I sound like a hater, but you know what? I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast. This is actually very Asif relevant news. Did I tell you about my, I'd say, minor saga with my USB plug-in optical drive, the Super Drive they call it?
No.
Apple Super Drive.
I know what that is, but no, I didn't hear about this.
They haven't manufactured this thing. Apple hasn't manufactured this thing in a decade.
Yeah.
And it only comes in the USB FAT. 2. Whatever it's called. Yeah, USB 2.0 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That plug that Apple computers don't, have ports for anymore.
No, you need a dongle for that.
Yeah. I have a Cal Digit dock. That is something, if you've ever shopped docks, that's the, Cadillac of docks. It's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And you are forced to own one if you're an Apple user these days. If you're a laptop, a MacBook user, because the port situation on MacBooks is really limiting. Is understating it.
It's gotten better in recent models, but
it's true.
It went from having an SD card reader and HDMI to just having USB-C, and now they're kind of putting some ports back on it. But yeah, you still need a dongle or a hub. So the hub, anyway, I will be brief. The hub. No, people are interested in this. They want to know about dongles. That's why they tune into this podcast. The Super Drive
The Super Drive and the hub just simply didn't. Like the thing would power
wouldn't
on.
work.
You would hear the Super Drive boot up and it would whir for a second, but there was no data
wasn't getting enough
connection. Exactly. It was a power situation. That's exactly right. So then I'm forced to buy the Apple certified dongle, $29.99 later.
Yeah, it's absurdly priced. That thing probably cost them like $1.
For sure. Maybe less. Finally comes, and I'm doing all of this because I know I mentioned this probably second or third episode. I got the big Final Fantasy VII Rebirth extended soundtrack. It's 9 discs or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I have no way of listening to it. I mean, I have a car, but I work at home. Like I don't drive anywhere,
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to get this Super Drive to work. Whatever it takes. Fine. It cost me an extra $30 to listen to this album I bought because it's not for streaming either. That it's not available. Or they have like 12 tracks instead of the literally 300 tracks. But anyway, the dongle worked. I ripped, like it was 2007. I ripped all these discs into my iTunes, and what a nostalgic trip that was.
Rip, mix, burn, baby.
Yeah.
There's no burning anymore. No one burns CDs anymore.
I mean. Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I certainly didn't have a need to this time because I have the.
But the Super Drive still works with a modern Mac,
provided you have the dongle. Yeah,
that's pretty cool because, like you said, it's like 10-year-old hardware.
Yeah, but it's sort of generic too, right? Like it's just like optical is like a stand. There's some standard. And, it certainly hasn't. that hasn't moved forward.
No, I'm just surprised they provide driver support for it.
I'm sure I'm sure it's some legacy driver. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah.
That's it. Anyway. That's my story. That's my Final Fantasy, and it got me in the mood to play. So I moved the PlayStation and see the full circle story there. And,
okay.
And here we are. Anyway, what have you been playing?
Well, I obviously I'm playing the games that I play every week, but one of my friends from Japan are in town, and they have 2 daughters. So my house is quite full right now. Yeah. And these little girls, they love Nintendo Switch, right? So they see my big TV and they're like, "Can we play some games?" I'm like, "Sure." So I showed them Nintendo World Championships first. And this is like I think she's 10 and her sister's 5. Neither of them know any of these games, right?
Right.
Because it's 2D Mario, old stuff, right? Sure. They pick up Mario and they're like, "Oh, wow." Instantly got it. They instantly understood what the goal was. Because it's like the first challenge is just get the mushroom on 1-1. So it was fun to watch them play that.
Cool.
I played a little bit of that too. And then I introduced them to Super Monkey Ball. That was a huge hit.
Nice.
The early levels are great for that. I think if you're new to gaming or kids, like just Monkey Ball is basically just a game that you use your left analog. There's not a whole lot of button pressing. So they enjoyed that. They actually asked to play some Mario Kart. So I threw that on and played some Mario Kart with them.
Did they ask because they knew what it was or from the movie?
They know what it is. They have it at home and they like it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And the youngest plays with tilt controls and with the there's a lot of good accessibility settings in Kart for younger kids. So we turned on all that for her and she was having a blast. And then I was like, I'm like, "Do you guys want to see something really cool?" And I fired up F-Zero 99. they did not play F-Zero 99, but they just stood there with their mouths just open wide as I was playing through the game.
That's the Asif 2024 equivalent of like my uncle showing me Rush in his garage.
It is for sure. So yeah, no surprise, I've been playing F-Zero 99. I know.
Thanks.
I was in first place in a race a couple nights ago, and I ended up dying, so that sucked. So I'm still at 3 wins. But yeah, I just having a fine time playing that game.
That's great.
It's been great. And then I want to talk about NCAA or whatever, College Football 25. I finished my Road to Glory season, Donovan, and what you said about not wanting to do it again, I completely agree with.
Yeah.
What position were you playing?
Quarterback.
Okay, so you had a similar experience that I did. How often were you on the field and all you had to do was hand the ball off?
A lot. I did a lot. I mean,
what team were you?
My bounce around a bit. I started at Kennesaw State 'cause I wanted to like go from the bottom to the top, and then I transferred to Iowa.
Ew. They need a
Which,
quarterback, but
They
ew.
do, which is why I went there and I helped them out.
So you won the national title at Iowa?
I did, yeah, my junior year.
Junior year? So I
Yeah.
went freshman year to Michigan and I won the national title.
Mhm.
I started every game. I think we went 16-0. Here's the weirdest thing that happened to me during the season. I don't know if it's weird, but it felt weird. So last game of the season is always versus Ohio State. I beat them, went to the Big Ten championship game against Purdue, beat them. But then I was the number 1 seed, so I had a bye in the college playoffs. So this is the first year that this game or any iteration of college football has the new NCAA playoff system that has 12 teams.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the weirdest thing was I think it was the quarterfinal. It was Michigan versus Ohio State again at the Rose Bowl.
Ooh.
And this is weird. I'm like, normally you don't get 2 Michigan versus Ohio State games in a season, first of all. That doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And then for it to be held at the Rose Bowl, which historically was Big Ten versus Pac-10, that's weird. So I can foresee some really strange things happening going forward, just in real life. The other thing I noticed is like I played 16 games in that season, man. It's way longer than the college season used to be. They used to be like 12 or 13 weeks, and now they're like 16 weeks. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
If you make a playoff run in that game, you're playing almost twice as many games. Like you end up playing like 5 or 6 more games, which is got to be like more than a third of the season at that point. I had that same thought.
I was like, God damn, this is more time consuming than it used to be. But like the thing I dislike the most, and I don't know if it gets better as you gain coaches' trust, but like the play calling is so limited. It's like the coach calls a play and you can override it 21 times in a game, but when you override it, you only have 3 options. You can't like select from the playbook.
Yeah, they give you an expanded look, and every now and then you'll do that, and it'll be the same play. I've had that before.
Oh God, that's happened to me t't. And you only have a limited amount of these per game, so it's frustrating when you do that, and it's like it's all power O. I'm like, come on, I can't get something else. So the thing that I started doing, I started running no huddle because I could at least call audibles at the line.
Yeah.
But then you tire out your line and all this stuff. So I don't know. That got frustrating. I just want to be able to create a team of freaks, and I can't. So I find it frustrating. So I just have a quarterback who's a freak. I do like the player progression, like how you spend skill points and stuff. So when you say you went through your junior year, you played 3 seasons of Road to Glory.
I did, yeah.
That's insane.
I did, I think I did 2 seasons at Kennesaw State. Then I transferred to Iowa.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the.
What are you like overall rated?
Now, after the national championship, I think I was at like an 88 after my last round of like upgrades. That was the mode I played. Like I marathon that mode like release week after like, the review went out and I was back home from Canada. Yeah, I played a whole lot of Road to Glory.
Yeah, I like it.
And then that was it.
The games themselves go by quickly because you don't play defense. You're not on the during special teams. So it's like what normally would take about 40 minutes for a regular game in this game, it's maybe 20. So I don't dislike that, but it's just I wish you had more player agency than you do. But I guess so like when I was done, I'm like, do I want to do another season? Because here's the thing about Michigan. Donovan Edwards won the Heisman for me. The running back, he like carried me. Right. There were several games where like we won just because of Donovan Edwards. And so he's graduating. I'm like, do I really want to play next season without him? Probably not. And like, I'm not recruiting because I'm not playing Dynasty, right? So I don't know who I'm going to have at running back next year. So yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about that. But yeah, I did win the national title over Arizona. It was funny. My quarterfinal matchup was against my highest ranked opponent in the entire playoffs. That didn't make any sense to me. Like Ohio State was higher ranked than the people I played in the final. I was like, oh, okay. But maybe that's just the Big Ten and SEC or powerhouses still.
Yeah, I think that I'm holding out I'm holding my reservations for that just because like That might be what the real college football playoffs are like now, because this is like a new format. We are going to probably get a lot of upsets, and you will see like the 12th seed in the national championship when they upset Oregon or Bama or whoever.
Because like so often in in like NFL playoffs, the team that's hot at the right time is the one that wins. And that's not necessarily like you may have a rough start to the season and still make it into the playoff and then go on a run. I think it's gonna be exciting to watch that. So it's been interesting to see that. I thought they did a good job with the presentation and stuff. So, but it's fun. But I'm like, do I really want to do this again? And like each year that you progress further, you get further away from the real rosters, right? And then it just becomes these just insert random players. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the game loses its soul. And so I don't know if I guess I'll try to do another season, but I expect it to be harder because my best player's gone, and I don't know who's going to replace him. Maybe I'll rush with the quarterback more. I don't know. Yeah, I do kind of want to see how high I can get him, like rated in 4 years. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I did win the national title, so that felt good.
It's cool. The presentation's very good for that. I like the way they changed like the score bug and all the stuff from the national championship game is pretty cool.
Yeah, even like the pre-game thing that Chris Fowler says or whatever. Yeah, it's all that's the stuff that's really good. Oh, by the way, I mentioned this last week, Joe, where I said that the crowd doesn't respond to Hail to the Victors. Well, I went to Ohio Stadium to play Ohio State in the last game of my season, and they do the OHIO chant with their hand gestures. So they just chose not to do it for Michigan.
Wow.
And it leads me to believe that there is an Ohio bias to EA Sports.
I mean, they put Michigan on the cover. This
is full on John Benyamine thinking. We used to play, him and I used to play, I don't know, 2K16, 17, whatever it was. And it would be me probably picking the Warriors at the time, and then him picking the Cavs, I believe.
Yeah, LeBron
and he would insist that there was a San Francisco bias programmed into the,
I think there's an Ohio bias, man. Why do they, the whole dot the I thing that the marching band does in Ohio? They have all of that. The pregame,
what is that?
The marching band comes out onto the field and they spell the word Ohio. And I don't know what his name is, but like
what does dot EI mean?
Dotting the I, like a lowercase I. Literally the character, the lowercase I. The honor is to be the person who dots that I. They have all of that in the game. And they have the OHIO chant. The OHIO chant? It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I can imagine what it is.
I say OH, you say IO. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb. But they're doing all that in the stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, while you go to Michigan, they can't even pump their fist to Hail to the Victors correctly.
I think it's one of those situations where, to invoke the quote, don't attribute to malice what can be explained by incompetence. Although it feels mean to call it incompetence because I think the game's really good. But I just think EA Sports just dropped the ball on getting every single tradition for all the teams. I think they just have a lot of holes.
But to your point, Michigan's on the cover.
It's true. They are on the cover, yeah.
What? I don't know. I think it's an Ohio bias.
They had maybe never say never.
But anyway, yeah, I played a lot of NCAA. I don't know what I'm gonna do there, because I am playing my PlayStation more, and I bought Kunitsugami and I haven't played it yet. So I might put down the college football so I can try Kunitsugami. Because what I've heard about Kunitsugami is it's fun up until a point, and then there's this massive difficulty spike that people fall off at. So I'm kind of interested to find out for myself. And we talked about that on other episodes, but I'm interested in that game.
Same.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I've been playing. Episode 99, it didn't really win anything, but I'm having a great time. Oh, I did have an interesting you know how there's the lucky numbers or whatever? I had a straight. So in 5 races, it wasn't like all in a row or anything, but if you like combine them, I placed 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
What's the math on that? What are the odds on that?
I don't know. Not very high. So they give you the lucky ranks give you like extra points for having like different poker hands. So I thought that was funny. I had a straight. But yeah, cool. Game's awesome. Still playing the hell out of it. Did not win anything, but I'm close. Like I said, 5 races and I was in the top 7 for all of them. Yeah, that'll do it for this segment. All right. It looks like you got a pretty sweet game coming up here, Joe.
Yeah, it's well, I wouldn't call it it's not a game you can win or lose, but I guess it is itself a game.
Oh, I'm winning.
Well, it's a subjective victory, is I think what I mean.
I will subjectively win.
I believe you, actually. So, in the spirit of NCAA EA Sports, no one knows the title. What happens after you put in your time at Michigan State?
You get drafted.
Head over to the draft. That's right.
Not Michigan State. That's the Spartans. I went to the University of Michigan. We're the Wolverines.
Got it. Okay, sorry. Well, anyway, you head over to the draft and you make your big debut into the National Football League. And that's what we're going to do with the Legend of Zelda franchise right after this break. You're listening to the Zelda Item Fantasy Draft.
Oh.
We're going to go a number of rounds, indeterminate. Let's say 5. It's really just amount like when we run out of steam and interest. Let's say 5. We're going to go a number of rounds and take an ability or an item that is found in any of the Legend of Zelda games, and you're going to hoard it to yourself. If you pick it, the other 2 contestants, that's right, I'm going to play, cannot pick that item. And that's really the only rules. And when we hit 5, we're going to see who has the best kit. And if you want, we can discuss that now. And I also suggest we do snake style.
Yeah,
that's fair. I like that.
Okay.
So,
can you imagine if we did an auction draft? Sorry, I'm about to draft my fantasy league.
You're all primed and ready for this, then. All right, who wants to go first?
I mean, I would like to draft first.
Donovan as the guest gets to go first. That means Asif goes for 3rd and 4th pick.
Okay.
Before we literally dive in, I say literally because there's lots of swimming in Zelda. Get it?
True.
Isn't that so funny? Before we dive in, would either of you like a rapid fire read of the amount of items that exist?
Just the number, sure.
Well, not the number so much as like should I read through the items?
No.
Okay, because there are a lot. So that means that we are relying on our memory and knowledge
I have
of
a
the
draft
franchise.
board that I already have up since you mentioned this.
Wow.
I have my draft board up, so I'm ready.
God. Okay. This is concerning for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, go ahead, Donovan. you pick your little whatever. Go pick your little thing.
All right. Okay. Well, I can go ahead and do that now if we're ready.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna take Rewind from The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. What a nifty ability that would be great to have in the real world.
So that's an item?
Well, I thought that was like abilities.
That counts. Yeah. Ability or item. Sure. Yes.
Okay. I guess it comes with like a rune or something. So it would be whatever rune. Okay, that's a good one.
Maybe I'll get the little thing on my arm or something.
So yours was Rewind. Okay.
And Donovan, what would you do with the Rewind ability?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, Joe, actually.
Probably solve some sweet puzzles.
I would solve some great puzzles. I'd probably mess with a lot of physics and gravity. Probably accidentally cause a lot of accidents on the road. I don't know. Anytime I drop something, anytime something falls off of something.
Anytime I drop something. Is this a common problem? I'm just imagining Donovan out in the middle of the street. Some boulder lands on the street, and then Donovan hops on top of it and then pulls himself into the sky.
Oh yeah, I could do some crazy physics stuff. Like, yeah, that'd be
Right, because if it's really
I'd probably hurt myself.
Yeah, easily. Okay, Joe. Second pick.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Master Sword.
God damn. First thing on my board, gone.
Okay, to play devil's advocate, what do you do with the Master Sword other than like
I don't know,
hanging it up behind your
seal
webcam?
Evil forever.
Seal evil forever.
Yeah, lock it away in the basement of Hyrule Castle forever.
Listen,
you go to Capitol Hill with your Master
That's
Sword.
a good pick, Joe.
Thank you. And I'm looking. The reason I picked it is because I'm looking for that subjective victory.
So I want to know
kit is complete
which Master Sword. I want to know which one. Which one are you talking about? Which game?
In my mind's eye, it's the the most recent two. You know, the glowing
Breath of the
blue
Wild
one.
Master Sword.
Yeah.
That's a great Master Sword.
Sure.
That's pretty cool.
That's all I'm saying. So that one's very special. Okay, good pick, Joe. Way to take my third pick. Why was I expecting the Master Sword to be on the board at this point, though? To be honest.
True.
Okay. I'm gonna take the Ocarina of Time with the third pick.
Oh, the Ocarina of Time. What does that do?
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing with it?
What am I doing with it?
Calling in gusts of wind or what?
I can travel through time. The Song of Time. Okay. I'll play the Song of Time and I'll go forward or backwards in time to save the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what happens. But what are you doing?
Me?
Yeah, like tell me how you're saving the world.
No, I'm gonna fucking travel back to 2000 and buy a bunch of Priceline stock. That's what I'm doing with it.
But
anyway,
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. What does that do?
Or go back in time and kill Hitler, right? Isn't that what everyone says?
There you go. Okay, that's what I thought you would start with. Yeah.
Whatever. Like, it's so trite and overused at this point.
I mean, you specifically said the year 2000, so I thought you were gonna be like, I'm gonna like prevent 9/11 or something.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought the Priceline stock was.
I don't think there's. Yeah, no one would believe me.
They wouldn't. That's true.
No. Okay, so I have the fourth pick, right? The first pick of the second round.
Correct.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna take the hook shot.
Damn it.
Because that honestly is something that should come back to 3D Zelda. I miss it.
Yeah.
And it's been present in 2D Zelda too. So it was in Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. I'm gonna say I want the hook shot from Ocarina of Time.
Okay. Great.
Two good solid picks. Those really solid picks.
Okay.
If I was a listener, I'd be impressed by my picks.
Well, I'm sure they are, but they're also saying like, "Where's that Master Sword?" You know.
I know. I got hosed.
Now, I think we're saying the grappling hook is off the table.
Yeah, I took it.
Yeah.
Hook shot, grappling hook, same thing.
Okay, yeah. I'm saying we are going to be non-semantic.
Like, I could have said I'm taking the Master Sword from Link to the Past or something. I didn't do that.
Right. my thinking there was that they do have different names depending on the game, whereas the Master Sword does not. Okay, I'm going to take and Asif, help me out here. Mipha's Grace.
Sure.
Is that the one where like I get a second hit? Or no,
you get a second life.
Derek's. Mipha's Grace is second life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm taking that.
Yeah.
So that means like when Donovan hits me with a car because he messed up his rewind.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I come back, and it's on a timer too, right? Like every 60 seconds I get a free life.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that's my pick. I should have picked that first, honestly. I mean, that's like a cheat code.
I wish you picked it first.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Okay, Donovan gets 2 picks. Is that how this works?
Yeah.
And boy, do I have 2 great picks, because first, I want Ultra Hand, also from The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm really going for utility here, things that are going to make my everyday life that much better.
You look like, out of the 3 of us, though, you look like the biggest freak. You're rewinding time, you got this gooey hand coming out of you?
Yeah.
Does that mean that you're going to chop your arm off and slap Varu's arm on it?
I mean, whatever it takes, right?
That's the only way you get Ultra Hand.
For great power.
Yeah.
Ultra Hand might be worth it. That's a pretty cool ability. I can grab things. It's like having a little reacher, but like larger distances and for heavier objects.
What are you going to, like, give me a scenario. What are you going to do with it?
Well, to be fair, I'm a tall person, so I don't usually have an issue reaching things on a top shelf. But, if I'm like feeling lazy, I want to get up off the couch, I can like Ultra Hand the remote across the room. Or if it's like in the game, Link was lifting up like really heavy stuff with that Ultra Hand, so I'd probably just pick up things that I physically couldn't. Things that
the house,
bring it back to cars. I can pick up cars with my Ultra Hand,
right?
Save them once I accidentally make them reverse on the highway. And then my next pick, since I get to go back to back here, tell me if this counts. Can I take a fairy from Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom? Like, you can catch the fairies and put them in your inventory?
Yeah, I think
so.
You're not talking about the great fairy. You're just talking about a regular fairy.
Just like the little pink fairies that fly around. You grab them, and when you have
the bottled fairies.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, and they similar to the item you picked, Joe. They bring you back to life when you reach 0 hearts.
Yeah, I mean, Mipha's Grace, without question, is more powerful because it's on a cooldown. You're gonna have to keep Are you picking one fairy, or are you installing a pond in the back of your home?
That's pond's not an item.
Yeah, for
That's
what
true.
it's worth, even if it's just one singular fairy, I think that's a massive boon. that's a
I
whole
mean, yeah, I mean,
second
compared to what we
chance
have
of
now,
life.
right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm fine if it's just a single fairy in a jar that I'll carry around in my backpack.
Solid. That's really good. Okay,
Joe, you're next.
I'm next. Okay, let's see. I have a particular Australian item that I've been thinking about, but
Didgeridoo?
yeah, that famous
The
Legend of Zelda item.
didgeridoo? Yeah.
No. What I think I'm going to take is wolf form. That's right. I want to be able to transform into a wolf.
Okay, wait. So you just called me the freak here, and then you just said you want to turn into a werewolf. What's up with that?
I didn't say werewolf. Also,
Wait.
also,
Who did...
no, I've turned into a wolf, like in
just
Twilight
straight
Princess.
Up, just straight up a wolf. Okay.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it's Twilight Princess. Yeah,
Of course, you picked the worst Zelda game.
it is the worst Zelda game. You know that I
Whoa,
feel that
okay,
way
never
too.
mind. All right. I thought it was a hot take.
No, that's a very mild take, Donovan. That game sucked.
It is awful. But if I could turn into a wolf, I could just slink away whenever I didn't feel like doing something.
Okay.
Just go inside of a cave or just be in my backyard as a wolf.
Okay.
It's kind of a dream of mine, I'm realizing.
Oh. Really peeling back the layers here.
What can I say?
So now I have 2 picks.
Yes.
I'm really picking items because that's what this draft is.
It's a Zelda item or ability draft.
Oh, okay. I guess I should look at the abilities on.
No,
What ability's still on the board? Tears of the Kingdom. Donovan, you've already taken 2 of them. Right? You took Ultra Hand and Recall.
Oh, Recall, yeah, that's the actual name.
I'm not gonna. I'm trying to think if there's anything in Tears where I'm like, I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna take the bomb.
Yeah, that's solid. What are you gonna do with that?
Blow shit up.
Nice. Nice.
Tell me this: is that in the older Zelda games? Is it the same as like the bomb in Breath of the Wild?
No,
it's like time. It's a different one. Okay.
It's more like the bomb in Tears of the Kingdom, where you have a limited amount and you have to find them. Right. Keep them in your inventory.
It's like the one they put in Smash before they Breath of the Wild.
Yes, it is that, like Link, non-Breath of the Wild Link, but adult Link in Smash has that bomb. So that one, yeah, the blue bomb that has a timer, a wick on it.
Looks like a berry.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take the bomb, and then look. I don't know how you're going to be in Hyrule without a bow and arrow, so I'm taking the bow and arrow.
Yeah, that's good. Nice. I mean, I never said you were in Hyrule, just to be crystal clear here, but I mean,
okay. Can I be more specific then?
Yeah.
I want to take the Demon King's bow from Tears of the Kingdom.
Nice.
Do you know why?
No.
Because the Demon King's bow does more damage. Its damage is attached to your hearts. So the more hearts you have, the more damage it does.
Okay.
It's one of the most powerful bows in all of Zelda.
And you famously have so many hearts.
Yes. Not too many.
Good pick. Yeah, no, just the right amount. Okay.
It's back to Joe.
All right. I'm gonna pick Ascend. Because you know what?
That's a good one.
Nobody likes stairs. When it's time for bed, I'm just gonna jump up and go through my ceiling and frankly through my bed until I reach the top of my bed, and then I'm going to lay down.
You're going to have to build your house around the concept of Ascend, though, because if you don't have a basement, for instance, or you know what I mean, like I'm just saying, you may end up thinking you're ascending in your house, but you're inside of a statue all of a sudden or something.
That's interesting. I agree with you that I would need to potentially move to like a wizard's tower,
or like a tree house.
Yeah, just like live in a column would be more appropriate for a person that has Ascend.
Yeah.
I don't know what columns are running on Zillow, but it seems like they should be cheaper.
First time column buyer tax credits are out there, so I'm sure you find something affordable.
Thanks, Obama. Okay, Donovan gets his 2 final picks.
Yeah, it's his last pick, right? Or 2 picks?
Right? Yeah. 2 picks, I think.
Yeah, it's final 2.
Pick it good.
These 2 I'm going to pick together because they're going to complement each other. And I'm probably stupid for this, but I'm going to give myself a get out of jail free card and say that I don't know much about this franchise. I'm going to take Rivali's Gale and the Paraglider from Breath of the Wild.
That's good.
So boom, there we go. I'll be
Rivali's Gale
flying all over the place.
Was made obsolete in Tears of the Kingdom by the rocket shield.
It was, yeah, but
but it's still a good power. I'm not hating on
rocket shield's a bit messy.
No, that's my I live by the rocket shield.
No, the rocket shield's great. I'm just thinking of my day-to-day life, probably getting a bit of trouble with that.
Yeah,
wow.
sure.
I'll reserve my review of your kit, but it's strong. I mean, you did well.
I don't
Thank
know.
you.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
I beat him.
Well, there will be a subjective winner and loser. So
Head to head, if I had to fight Donovan, what's he gonna do?
Run away.
He's gonna just go up a tree. Okay.
Hey, I got rewind.
I'll throw a bomb at the tree.
You're gonna throw that bomb?
You know what I'm gonna do?
I'm
gonna attach my bomb to an arrow. Yeah, no, I know. You're gonna rewind it and have it come back and hit me.
You could be in for a surprise.
Yeah.
How does that? Yeah, I wonder what that's like from the perspective of not Link when he uses rewind.
You don't see it happen. You're frozen, basically.
Yeah, things just abruptly start moving.
Yeah.
In the opposite direction. Just has to be frightening.
Yeah. Those are good picks, though. So is this your last pick, Joe?
This is my last pick, and I'm having some trouble. But I think what I'm going to go with is the Pegasus boots.
Sure.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
And then, I play recreational basketball a couple times a week.
Hey.
I think I would just crush with the Pegasus boots. Right?
Yeah.
I'd be out there just making people upset. That's my pick.
Nice.
Okay. I think I have a pick here. This is tough. This is actually very difficult. There's a game that no one has picked an item from in this so far.
Okay.
And I'm thinking I should. Although I already have the Ocarina of Time, right?
You do? Sure.
Okay, Donovan. So you use Recall on me. I use the Ocarina of Time on you. I feel like that counts. That cancels out.
We find ourselves in a time paradox.
Yeah.
Likely.
Okay. You have Rivali's Gale. I have the Wind Waker.
Ooh.
A magical conductor's baton that's given to Link by the King of Red Lions.
What does the Wind Waker do?
It can control wind, motherfucker. As well as being able to call upon the power of the gods. I used this to move the Great Sea around with much ease in the Wind Waker. It has the power to open doors in ancient temples, awaken the sage. I can travel in cyclones with it.
Good thing I got my
can
paraglider.
take control of others.
So are you just gonna go to the Jersey Shore and change the tide, and then the surfers rejoice?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Also, E.G. Onuma said that the creation of the device was inspired by a theremin. You know what a theremin is, right, Joe?
Oh, I sure do.
It's one of the wackiest music devices out there, so it's kind of cool. Also, it's a conductor's wand, which is kind of cool. But anyway, the Wind Waker.
And what's this called? The Wind Waker is the name of the item?
It's called the Wind Waker.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. We all have our 5 picks. In review, Joe has the Master Sword, Mipha's Grace, to come back from life. I can turn into a wolf. I can shoot up through the ceiling, and I can run faster than God. Donovan can rewind time with recall. Or is it recall or rewind? I don't remember what it's
I
called.
think it's called Recall.
It's called Recall.
He can rewind time with recall. He can move heavy objects with Ultra Hand. He gets a second chance at life when he screws up with his abilities using Fairy. He can launch himself into the sky with Rivali's Gale, and then he can elegantly glide down from that position using the paraglider. Asif.
It sounds sweet.
Wow. Can travel time via playing a little whistle thing. He can then...
A little whistle thing. It's an ocarina.
It's an ocarina, using an ocarina of time, sure. Then he can use his hook shot to traverse or grab items.
Yeah.
He can then
I can also go up. I can move upwards with a hook shot.
Yeah, but you can't go through upwards.
No, I can't.
But you can use bomb to get through the ceiling if you choose.
Or just to create sweet secret holes and find treasure.
You do love secret holes. Demon King's bow attached to your back, which is emboldened by the number of hearts that you have. And of course, what good is any of it if you can't change the direction of the wind using your Wind Waker? Wow. 3 masterful kits, but who's the victor?
Me.
I think it's me.
No.
Wow. I actually think it's me.
We're going to have to let the listeners tell us who won.
Yeah. I think you're right. Wow. We'll let Hasmamu decide.
He'll
in the
pick.
comments.
He'll say that I still lost.
I'm going to send all these lists to Greg and let him pick because Greg has his Zelda tattoo. There you go.
Oh, that's That's it. That's the.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's the
Maybe ask the
credentials.
guy who has 245 hours in Tears of the Kingdom what he thinks. Not the guy who
Hey.
hasn't beaten it.
You stayed away from a lot of those Tears of the Kingdom abilities.
Yeah, because they're not items. And I was kind of like, there's more iconic things than Ultra Hand, in my
But, you
opinion.
know.
But I guess it's not the most iconic. I kind of looked at it from a utility standpoint, and
Same.
I understand, like, Ultra Hand's cool because you can build stuff with it. The one that I was looking at that I didn't take was Fuse. I think Fuse is awesome.
I was thinking of Fuse, but I don't know. Yeah,
That's like not a superpower necessarily. Like you could use
kind of like super
glue,
gluing
tape.
everything together.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it much faster.
But like the things that you can unlock with Fuse, like if you have like a dragon part and you attach it to a sword or something, like it does.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff that happens from
Any
Fuse.
gem.
Yeah. Yeah. If you put like a diamond on your sword, yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, that's fine. But I think I had the best list.
I think if John does his patented 9th inning appearance, his pinch hitting, or no, what is it called? What's the closer? Yeah, he's the
pinch
closer,
hitter, right? Yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to. What was Mariano Rivera? What was the name?
He was just closer.
He was
Relief
closer.
pitcher.
Okay, that's the analogy I was trying to paint. If John comes in doing his best Mariana impression, perhaps he will vote on who the winner is.
He'll pick me because he loves the Wind Waker.
He does. That's true.
Damn.
I future-proofed my pick.
Wow. Dang it. Masterful pick.
Thank you. Some honorable mentions, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boomerang.
I thought about the boomerang for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boomerang is one of those. The Magic Mirror.
We have Boomerang. Sam Chandler has a Boomerang.
Anyone remember the Magic Mirror?
I remember the Mirror Shield. Is it the same?
The Magic Mirror is how you would transport to the Dark World and Link to the Past.
Never played that game.
I was surprised neither of you said the Hylian Shield. Doesn't that do anything cool to go with the Master Sword? Aren't they like peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah,
I mean,
but not like super crazy. The thing that I almost picked was the Breath of the Wild motorcycle.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. I should have just said the hover bike I made in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, well, that's Ultra Hand. That's why Ultra Hand was picked. I get why Ultra Hand was picked.
I'll find a couple fans and a.
This is a good idea, Joe. You could apply this to a lot of games too.
You could.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The only downside of this game is that we're not really sure who won yet, but perhaps a listener or John will tell us. At any rate, I
feel like I have to make a draft day reference before this segment ends.
Go ahead. Now's the time.
You guys are a bunch of pancakey motherfuckers.
Damn it.
Really Kevin Costner actually says that in the movie.
I assumed you did. Yeah, I assumed that.
Yeah, I'm not being mean. I actually like pancakes.
They're good.
But yeah.
He's
Cleveland royalty. Who the hell's Cleveland royalty? They actually said the term. He's Cleveland royalty. I'm sorry. There's a character in the movie who wants to be a Cleveland Brown. That's the most unbelievable part of that movie.
Right.
It's Arian Foster. Remember him?
I do remember Arian Foster.
Arian Foster. I just want to be a Brown. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been a very Browns heavy shitting on the Browns podcast so far.
Sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah. Anyway,
thank you for playing the Zelda Item Ability Fantasy Draft. Good luck next season, and it's on to story time.
Welcome to story time. Let's dive into the latest stories from the past week. Man, did you see that Zelda overview trailer, you guys?
I did.
Most of it, yeah.
So we got details about The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, this new top-down Zelda that's shipping in a month, I think. Mm-hmm. So we got a couple of things from this. They showed off, this is actually quite a good segue from the last segment. They showed off something that's very similar to Ultra Hand called Bind, where you're able to grab items that are super large and move them around by walking around with Zelda. So that's pretty cool. They introduced a horse. So this is, Joe, a horse?
Yep.
In a 2D Zelda game?
We love it.
Unprecedented. We've never seen such a thing. And the horse kind of looks like the horse from Pocket Card Jockey. So I'm super in.
It's a different horse?
I don't know. I don't think they didn't have a name for it. Maybe you'll be able to name your horse. That's something I really like about the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom horse gameplay. But it looks so cute being able to jump over fences and stuff. And there's fast travel in the game, but there's also horses. It looks like Zelda can swim. So traversal looks pretty cool in this. And then there's side quests. There was never been a side quest in a 2D Zelda game. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. It really feels like they made Breath of the Wild in a 2D environment and you're Zelda instead of Link. Even those areas that like Link got sucked into or whatever, they kind of resemble the Calamity stuff. But yeah, I'm interested in everything they showed. There was I think it's reverse bond is the other thing you can do. So you attach yourself to an item that's moving.
Right.
What else did they show? Oh yeah, there's two types of Zora. There are River Zora and there are Sea Zora, and they don't take kindly to each other. But maybe Zelda will create peace between the two races.
I hope so.
It looks cool though. The game looks great.
It does.
It's nice that it's a different thing. I'm happy for that. Just something like another sort of cookie cutter Zelda. I'm sure I would have bought it and I probably would have spent some time on it, but I'm actually looking forward to just something that's we haven't had before.
And I think Zeldas are at their best when they are puzzle focused, and it seems like these mechanics would lend well to puzzle solving. So I'm excited for what awaits us there.
Yeah. As someone who did not engage with this franchise growing up, I'm excited to be there on day one for a new 2D Zelda game, which I really haven't.
One thing I'm really surprised by is they didn't port A Link Between Worlds, because that game was excellent on the 3DS. And it's a good 2D Zelda game, Donovan. I would recommend playing A Link to the Past. For a very long time, that was my favorite Zelda game. It has a good story, which is kind of rare. I know Tears of the Kingdom had a great story. Anyway, these are quickies. Moving on. Stop me if you heard it before. A Microsoft-owned studio is delaying a game. Avowed has been officially delayed to February 2025. Yeah. And then this is the thing where I'm like, you're lying. Obsidian and Xbox have insisted Avowed is still in good shape, but they wanted to give the game some breathing room from other high-profile releases coming this year.
It's an interesting one because this came after the Stalker 2 delay. Because Stalker 2 just got delayed like another couple of months, and they very famously earlier this year was like, this is the last delay. It's coming out in October or whatever, or September, and then they pushed it again.
So when they say this is, I just want to say this is the busy schedule that they're referring to. World of Warcraft War Within, it's an expansion, comes out later this month. Fine. Age of Mythology Retold. What is that?
I think it's a strategy game.
Anyway, September 4th. Ara History Untold, September 24th.
Maybe that's the strategy game.
I don't know. Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred. Another.
You guys don't know what Age of Mythology is? Are you being funny?
No,
I wasn't being funny.
Is that a popular game, Joe?
Age of Mythology, I think, is either a reboot or the second in a quote unquote series. It's like the first game came out in like 99 or something. It's
a first party Xbox game?
I think so. I think it was Microsoft Game Studios back in 99 or 2000, and it was like a Age of Empires.
Donovan was 10. Do you think he knows about an Xbox game from I don't know. Anyway,
I was 12.
We have to move Avowed out of the way because they gotta make room for all these Xbox games.
I mean, that part is horseshit, but yeah.
Look at all these other Xbox games they had to make room for. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 comes out on October 25th. Got a dot. Avowed, the Avowed demo really overlaps with that COD demo, right, Donovan? And then up next, okay, I would dodge this too because it's probably going to be sweet. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 comes out November 19th. Oh, by the way, these other games that they have to get out of the way for don't have release dates. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, no release date. Starfield Shattered Space expansion, DLC, whatever, no release date. And Towerborn, I have no idea what that is, no release date.
But maybe they internally know when those are landing though, right? Like maybe internally they're like, hey, we want Indiana Jones here and Starfield.
In what universe are you like, you know what, I'm not going to buy Avowed because I have to buy Flight Simulator or Indiana Jones or Shattered Space for Starfield. The only real
overlap there is the Starfield DLC because those are similar kinds of games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting though because even before they announced that was a part of the initial report. I believe it was Tom Warren who had like broke that a few days early. He was saying like they don't think there's anything wrong with Avowed. They just don't want to release it this fall, or they want to open up their schedule or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe they think that the beginning of 2025 is weak. Maybe they're like, we don't have anything in Q1.
Here's the 2025 ones on this graphic: South of Midnight, Doom: The Dark Ages, and Fable.
Okay. But those are just 2025 open-ended. That's not Q1, right? That's
correct.
Just like sometime next year.
So Avowed now has a release date of February 18th. So, whatever.
Yeah, I think my headcanon is that they probably looked at 2025 and was like, wow, we might not have a AAA game out until May or whatever next year. And they're like, wouldn't hurt this fall if we just lost Avowed and put it in February. But I don't think it's about 2024 being crowded. I think it's about 2025 being not very crowded in the beginning. But I'm looking forward to that game.
You realize, though, they're setting themselves up for releasing that game within a month of Switch 2.
Maybe. Do you still think the Switch 2 is coming next March?
Yes.
Like early next year? I want to believe it is. I just as every day goes by, I'm less confident.
I get that, but no, it's all I'm saying is that the chances of you running into a new console release much higher next year than this year. And I don't know, the idea, just the idea that there are too many Xbox games is absurd. That is an absurd thing to say. I don't blame Obsidian for doing this. If they feel comfortable doing this, more power to you. But if this was a Microsoft decision, the idea that there are too many first-party games coming out is absurd and not true. Yeah. Anyway,
Avowed is going to be on that tier of games that you will have to have that utmost Game Pass tier to play on day one.
Game Pass is dead to me. I don't care.
You probably will. Yeah.
You're going to spend $60 on Avowed? I'm certainly not.
I mean, maybe.
Really? Not on.
I don't mind buying video games. I like supporting artists. I like supporting developers,
but not on a.
Joe, what'd you think of the Outer Worlds? Their last thing.
I thought it was a 6 out of 10 ish. It was good. It was good enough.
I really like that game. I just feel like it ended so soon.
It was short. Yeah.
Speaking of short, these are
I'm expecting the same. Oh, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Deathbound. Sam Chandler, our guides editor, reviewed it, and he's also quite a Souls-like expert. He didn't like it. Gave it a 6 out of 10. Said the pros were morphing mechanic is cool, aesthetics and lore were intriguing, interesting build crafting. When it's flowing, the combat is neat, but when it's clunky, the combat is a chore. I feel like most Souls-likes are that. Movement and controls are janky. Boy, is that every Souls-like I've played, except for maybe Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne. Painfully slow animations, that can be terrible in a Souls-like.
Yeah.
And level design is kind of lackluster. Yeah, so...
I played this game at PAX East for a demo, and I would probably agree with most of the stuff Sam's saying here. These Souls-likes, man, are just such a dime a dozen when they're not made by From Software. Just whenever you play them, it's just so hard to escape that feeling of it being like a knockoff. And they all have their gimmicks, like Sam mentions this one, is you shapeshifter like into the different classes. So you have like your mage character and you hit the D-pad to switch to the warrior or whatnot. And that's neat, but it's not like a transformative feature or mechanic. There's just nothing about that makes me feel like I just shouldn't be playing whatever FromSoft game of my choosing.
Yeah. Anyway, 6 out of 10. Not the best score. Maybe that's a Steam sale game for people who haven't bought it yet. Yeah, but there's like other Souls-like games out there. Another Crab's Treasure is probably a better one, right?
I haven't played it yet, but I would instantly play that first.
Yep. Moving on, Star Wars Outlaws post-launch roadmap includes 2 story expansions.
Can we stop? Can we please stop?
This year? 2
single player games should not have roadmaps. They just really shouldn't. It just shouldn't be a thing. I wrote the story and I was just laughing to myself writing it. I was like, how did we get here, man? I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to playing it, but it's just so silly.
That seems terrible.
There is no multiplayer aspect to this game. Why is there a season pass with a content roadmap?
So you have to buy these.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I guess it's to try to keep the game in like the discussion for a couple more quarters, but
yeah, I don't get why? But why though? Like they didn't. I don't know. Like this isn't the first single player Star Wars game. We didn't have to do that. It's like live service has already like engulfed all of multiplayer gaming, and now it's just like we just put it in single player games too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very silly. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the game, but it's very goofy to me.
I don't even know if I'm looking forward to the game, because if it's just Assassin's Creed Star Wars, I'm not gonna enjoy it. The minute they have me doing like a trailing mission or like a whatever, where you have to like walk next to someone for 15 minutes, like
little escort mission, yeah.
Those escort missions blow my brains out, man. I hate them. And every time I think of an Assassin's Creed game, I think of those. Here's some good news. Oh my God, there's good news.
Wow.
It's not great, but it's good. Balatro, my game of the year, still right now. Gun to my head, Balatro, game of the year.
Okay.
Is getting a free major gameplay update in 2025. A lot of people thought we were getting a mobile game announcement.
Right.
Nope. Whenever Balatro, maybe Balatro is trying to come out after the election so people go vote before they end the world with their game. But Balatro is awesome. I'm happy to see they're still supporting it. I'm happy to see it's going to be free.
I need to play that game very soon. I've been holding off.
I know you're going on some trips soon, right?
I am.
You should buy it ahead of that. It's like a time vortex when you're flying to play that game.
I will have that game installed before I fly. Also, did you see what the owner did, like putting in his will that game, like the IP can't be sold to any like casinos or like gambling companies after he dies? I thought that was pretty sick.
Wow.
He's just like, you will not use this game to become like a gambling thing.
Yeah, so I think that's dope. God, because that would be heartbreaking to see that turn into like a computerized game, in like a casino.
Which it would under the right publisher. Probably anybody but him.
Yeah, but he was the original person to think of that awesome gameplay loop. Like, it's a masterfully crafted game, and I have broke my addiction of it. But the minute this gameplay update comes, it's gonna be like me with Vampire Survivors earlier this year. That Contra update got me back, and I'm just now free of it again. Because that's another game that's like a time vortex. But yeah, awesome on the developer. Local thank to really just be thinking about the game and his legacy instead of short-term profits. So awesome. I'm happy that they're doing well, and I hope we get it in mobile form. We don't have this on the rundown, but Retro Bowl, a game that I mentioned quite a few times, a mobile game, they're getting NFL licensing it's called Retro Bowl Plus.
Wow.
Sadly, it's only on Apple Arcade, which is where video games go to die.
Oh.
What? You don't love Apple Arcade?
I don't love anything Apple.
They have that Ninja Turtles game that nobody knew existed.
They sure do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I probably have a code or a free subscription lying around somewhere from last time I upgraded my phone, so I'll at least do my due diligence to see if I can play this thing, because that seems fun.
Yeah, it does seem fun, but man, I don't want to give Apple any money for that. Maybe it'll come out on, I don't know, a year from now. It might come out somewhere.
It'll be a full 12 months later, but yeah.
But such like a low res game, I don't really care if I have the rosters from the NFL. It's not that big of a deal to me. And I'm also in like season 40 of my franchise in that game, so I really don't want to move my save over to another game. Another quickie here. Sony sold 2.4 million PlayStation 5s in their first quarter of fiscal 2024. That was down 27% year over year. What I thought was interesting in general about the Sony earnings report was that I saw two things. One, their margins suck. Like, their operating profit margin is 7.5%. That's low for that gaming division. Other thing I thought was interesting, revenue was up at the gaming division, even though unit sales of software and hardware were down. And that was largely due to the yen currency translation being in their favor. They also said that the mix shift for their software sales was closer. There was more first-party sales than there were third-party. So I was trying to think, like, what first-party game came out this year for Sony? And there's really nothing. So I think it's probably like Spider-Man and God of War and stuff like that are selling well. And also some of those games came to PC this year, right?
Yep.
So I think their PC initiative is actually doing decently for them. But their margins suck.
I mean, this is also the company that came out like 6 months ago and was like, we are not going to be releasing any major franchise games until at least April 2025. So I'm sure that didn't inspire anybody to go run out and buy a PS5. Wonder if anybody bought them for college football. That wouldn't be on this quarter, but
yeah, that'll show up on the next quarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed like Xbox benefited from the college football release more than PlayStation, but it's hard to say. I think there's already 55 million PlayStations out there. We don't know how many. I think they're approaching 60 million now, but we don't know how many Xboxes there are because they don't disclose that.
No.
So this was just a bit of news that broke before we started recording. Splitgate 2 showed us some gameplay. Splitgate 2 is the Portal. It's Halo with portals is how I would describe Splitgate 1.
Yeah.
This now appears that they're shoving Overwatch style mechanics into this, or like Valorant style, like hero mechanics. So there's different factions that will have different abilities, and there's going to be a team composition. I'm just rolling my eyes. I know you can't see it. Like, I don't want any of this. None of this.
I don't either. I had a lot of fun in Splitgate. As somebody who's a big Halo Infinite defender at launch, once I eventually did finally burn myself out of that game's multiplayer, Splitgate was so much fun. I was a sucker for that portal mechanic. It just worked so well. It was so fun when you would pop out of a portal behind somebody or just shoot through it. You didn't have to go through it.
Yeah.
It was just like a window, and you could just like shoot a sniper or snipe from like the back of the map. It was just such a cool mechanic that like really never got old.
No, so it didn't. Like that game reminded me of Rocket League, where like you pick it up and you play it and you're like, wow, these are cool mechanics. But then like the ceiling to like what you can do is very high. Just kind of like, like mastering aerials in Rocket League. I think there's an equivalent to that in Splitgate. And the strategy involved with that kind of a gameplay mechanic is very cool. I have a lot of hours in Splitgate 1. I'll play this game, but I am worried about the team composition and stuff like that, because I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
And
self-important.
Lastly, this is not really a quickie, but we're going to transition to this is a good point to transition from our quickies to the new topic that Joe has called non-gamies. Storytime non-gamies, I believe, is also trademarked. So Friday, right before we started our Mario Kart stream, GameStop shut down Game Informer, the magazine and the website. And then later, was it this week, Donovan? They deleted the Twitter account.
Yeah, when ex-Game Informer employees got on there and was like, hey, we know this sucks. Farewell, everybody. Thanks for the support. GameStop must not have approved of that statement and went like nuke their Twitter account.
That was a Twitter account with 2.3 million followers.
Yeah, which is insane.
That they deleted.
It's more people than they ever got to follow their NFT wallet Twitter account. So there's that.
So yeah, I don't want to say I've famously been long, but I've been long GameStop for 3 years. I still own it in a couple accounts, but I liquidated it in my largest accounts on this news. The idea that you would just shut down Game Informer instead of try to sell it is insane. Yeah. Someone would have bought this. There would have been a price that someone would have bought it for. Certainly more than the $0 that Ryan Cohen got for GameStop shareholders. To me, this is the final nail in the coffin for me that says this guy does not know what he's doing. Game Informer covers are like one of the most touted things you can have as a publisher, right? Like every publisher, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Valve, everyone valued the Game Informer cover because it was, I read it was like one of the top 10 most circulated magazines in America.
I believe it.
They removed, we talked about earlier in the podcast earlier this year, that they removed it from the Power Up Rewards program a few months ago, and they made it its own independent thing. I'm reminded that Ryan Cohen said something on the shareholder meeting, which is the only time he speaks about GameStop in a year, that revenue that isn't profitable isn't worth having. And I think that's how he viewed Game Informer. It wasn't profitable. Who cares about the revenue? But the relationships built with every video game company by the people working at Game Informer were not being valued at all. And I just think this is it. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. And the people who own GameStop stock, they don't know shit about video games. Because did you see the replies to our top 10 list, Donovan? The Mario Kart Ryan Cohen?
No. I didn't know what people saying.
They didn't understand. They didn't get it. Like, none of them play video games. They're all just billionaire worshippers who are trying to get rich quick with this mother of all short squeezes.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. GameStop squeezed in 2021 because the short interest, the amount of shares that were borrowed to be short, were over 100% of the shares that existed. What's the short interest now, guys? It's 11%. That's not how you get the mother of all short squeezes. He fucked us. Ryan Cohen fucked us twice as shareholders. And he screwed over Roaring Kitty, and we've talked about that in previous episodes. But what he's been doing lately is tweeting politically motivated nonsense and saying Trump 2024 and all this stupid crap. I think this was out of spite. I don't think this was a business decision. I think there's probably people at Game Informer who don't like working for GameStop, and I don't blame them.
I bet.
But to just kill this, and also like not ignoring the magazine, they deleted the website entirely. Yeah. And insane. every hyperlink to Game Informer all now goes to the same landing page. This is 33 years of content that's been wiped off of the internet. That's insane. Mm-hmm. That's such a fundamental misunderstanding of what you owned as an asset.
Yep.
And that was it. That was the last straw for me. I was tolerating his racist BS tweets because I'm used to that with Elon Musk and other stupid billionaires. But when you do something like this, you show that you don't know what you're doing at all. So it's like, good work. You have $4 billion, but like, what are you going to do with it? He stole that from shareholders, basically. But what are you going to do with the $4 billion? Mm-hmm. I would rather own the stocks that get acquired by this dumbass than own his dumbass stock. The other thing is, like, maybe GameStop's not going to be a video game company for much longer. They may pivot to being some sort of other retailer or something else entirely. But this is just stupid. This is so dumb. Someone would have bought it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like one of the most talented teams out there. You look at the videos that Game Informer produced, or the magazine itself, or the website.
The podcast from that I entered into the listening of their podcast maybe like 10 years ago. And that is singularly what inspired me to get into this medium. I just thought it was funny, and they were obviously so well informed because of the position they had. Ben Hansen in particular, who left after the first round of layoffs 4 or 5 years ago. I just fell in love with how he presented everything via audio, and so I just wanted to shout out that was a inspiration to me.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was getting Game Informer in middle school. I mean, like,
that cover meant something, man. That cover story meant something to everyone, and to just kill it. It's a hateful act. It's a spiteful act. I don't think it's a logical decision. I think it was done out of hate. Mm-hmm. And that's messed up. Why would you do that?
It was the rare video game news outlet that actually had like mainstream mindshare. Like, my friends were upset when I sent them this news that the Game Informer had shut down. Like, even they were like, damn, I didn't think this would hit me like that. Like, everyone knew Game Informer who played games. I can imagine having a valuable asset like that in games media. Just a barren wasteland of an industry and just throwing it in the trash.
It shows you what billionaires think of our medium right now, Donovan.
Yeah.
They don't, like, you see all the anti-media rhetoric out there, but it's like, boy, you know what was useful? The Game Informer video game release date calendar guide.
Yeah.
It was one of the best in the internet. We referenced it at times. And that's just one example, but they were great guides writers. They're great video producers. I know that MinMax is trying to do some archiving of stuff, but the way this was done, many of the employees found out from a tweet.
Yep.
There was no heads up at all, and they deleted the website before anyone could back up their work.
Which is going to hurt careers, because that's all you have is your clips and your articles. Much people didn't get
I guess also, if you're an aspiring writer out there right now, you could just claim that you wrote for Game Informer and no one would be able to disprove that.
That's true.
So if you want to lie on your resume, just say that you were a contributing editor to Game Informer. That's my hot tip. You could also say that you're a general manager for Circuit City, and no one could. Yeah. Anyone who wants to commit fraud on their resumes, you have a new option. I don't know. I've tolerated this idiot and the idiots that own GameStop for years, and I'm just so tired of these people, man. It's a cult. it's a cult. It's a cult of stupidity. It's a cult built on hope. And this idea that billionaires are going to do something, they're going to do right by you. That's an absurd thing to think. And it's just not true. Billionaires don't give a fuck about you. Any of you. And they don't care about me. They don't care about anyone. And that's just really shitty. I don't know what else to say. I've been really sad about this. I really respect a lot of people over at Game Informer who were over there. And I think this is going to send shockwaves through our industry for a while. Because now, sadly, the question is who's next? And I don't know. Not Shaq news. But yeah, let's move on to the non-gamies here. I'm just going to gloss over this. Reddit reported earnings. They actually beat revenue and EPS expectations, but people were scared by their guidance. Also, they only have 91 million daily active users, which is not a lot compared to the other social media companies. So yeah, their stock's been down for the past few days. Anyway, Reddit's a stock now. Nintendo reported earnings after we recorded our last podcast. So they maintained their full year guidance, but they did see a 70% drop in operating profit in Q1. This is largely due to very tough comparisons. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and the Mario movie both released in Q1 2024 for them, and neither of those came out this year. So you saw a software drop off and a hardware drop off, but they still expect to sell 13.5 million Switches this year. That seems high because I think they only sold 2.1 in that quarter. But yeah, the stock went down. They announced earnings on a Friday and the Japanese market was closed. But over the weekend, the entire Japanese market crashed because of a currency scare. Nintendo stock on Sunday night, Monday in Japan, was down 16%. It has now regained all of that sell-off and is back to flat. Basically, investors are just going to wait till Switch 2, and then we're going to react. I maintain that the Switch 2 is the most important product launch in the history of the company. Because if they do this right, they will have changed how people view the generational Switches of Nintendo. Because if there's continuity in purchases, and there's backwards compatibility for software, this is a first for them, where you're going to be able to take your games and play them on the new system instead of having to rebuy Mario World for the 8,000th time. But yeah, not the worst news. And I think we're in this era where everyone's like, oh, we have to grow forever. We have to grow forever. Nintendo's they're taking their medicine this year. They're like, we're going to have a down 40% year. And they're not like, well, if we fire a bunch of people, it'll only be down 10%. That's not what they're doing. They built a new building next to their headquarters and they're putting devs in it so that they can make more games. So I think it's admirable to see a company in this time of perpetual growth, a company that's just like, look, we're going to not do well this year and we're going to be honest about it. It's kind of refreshing to see how they're operating. So even though the numbers are scary looking, it's a big negative number in the headline, I think they're doing it right, and it kind of resets expectations ahead of the Switch 2. So, yeah, I still own Nintendo. Company I used to own a lot of, I don't really own much of anymore, is Apple. The news hit Saturday because Berkshire Hathaway releases their earnings reports on Saturday. Warren Buffett sold half of his holdings of Apple. So they still own $84 billion worth of Apple at Berkshire Hathaway, but they sold $84 billion of Apple in the last quarter. They also, they now own, Warren Buffett's company now owns more T-bills than the Federal Reserve. They have $270 billion worth of T-bills. So Warren Buffett is very, very, very conservative right now with his cash management. So I don't know. Pretty smart guy. Maybe he knows something. Amazing timing because the market crashed the day after he announced that.
That is amazing timing.
Yeah, he is one of the greatest of all time, man. Which, by the way, the GOAT, you know that term?
Mm-hmm.
You know who coined it?
I don't.
LL Cool J, and he wants to be given credit for it. That came out in the most recent Shannon Sharp podcast, Club Shay Shay.
Where did he say it first? Was this in a song?
Yeah, he called himself the GOAT, and then
interesting.
He doesn't get any credit.
That claim begs like a Snopes fact check article.
I agree, because Club Sheikah, they're having their cognac and chatting. So
Yeah, they
I
don't
think,
really.
and
It's a fun show, but they don't call out anything anyone says on that show.
Shannon doesn't do fact checking. Shannon
no.
calls himself a conversationalist, so he doesn't feel the journalistic and need to fact check.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe there's a channel that we could spin up where all we do is fact check Nightcap and Club Sheikah.
Yeah, that'd be something to run, but also just the current way people view online media. I don't think too many people would care.
No one cares.
Nobody would care.
Although I did find it hilarious. This is an aside, but it'll go into the next story. When Aiden Ross gave Trump a Cybertruck, that was pretty amusing.
I saw an edit of that clip where there's like a part where like they open the door of the Cybertruck, and on the other side of the car you can see it's like a lion statue or something, but the camera quality, just the way it's framed, it looks like a green person like standing on the other side of the car. And it's like the scene out of Signs. I gotta send you the edit. It's so like it's so unsettling when you see it, because it looks like someone standing on the other side of the car looking at them.
Do you mean like
the funny when he walks out and he goes, "Oh, it's an Elon."
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
The guy who hates Elon Musk and electric vehicles.
But now he called it beautiful and says he loves Elon Musk. Anyway, speaking of the billionaire baby Elon Musk, his company is suing an advertisement group for alleging coordinated boycott. Like, can I sue companies for not giving us money at Shack News?
This is so funny.
Let's wait for the judicial precedent, and then yes, you can.
Okay. So who should we sue?
Coca-Cola?
I would say, why not aim big and work our way down?
So Microsoft?
Yeah.
This is so silly. I wrote this news article and I couldn't believe it. It's so funny to me. I'm like, this.
Can I sue IGN?
This is gonna. I don't know.
But we didn't mention it. We didn't mention it, but didn't Ziff Davis buy CNET this week?
They did for $100 million.
So that happened.
Yep.
I'm not going to be surprised.
4 years.
Not going to be surprised when they implement the editorial policies of CNET across their entire company. Spoiler alert, it involves AI writers. Speaking of AI, OpenAI co-founder John Schulman bailed, joined Anthropic. Another executive who was supposed to be on their safety board.
I was going to say, it's always great when there's a mass exodus from the safety team at the rising AI company. This is just terrible. But yeah.
That does not bode well for the future of that company.
Or society.
Yeah, like, what does it mean? Here's what and Joe, I know you're kind of working in this space a little bit more. I'm kind of curious what you think of this. Is it possible that they built this model, this GPT model, without safety in mind, and now they're trying to train it to think safely, and it's incapable of doing it because it's like too late? Like, it's almost like something you would have to put in at the beginning of your training?
Well, all right. So I'm on front end, so I handle the way things look, and so I can't say that I'm like a ML, data scientist or anything. But my understanding would be that part of what these companies are making is primarily the means of learning. And so if you're engineering the means of learning, then your next model presumably could just start at zero. So I don't think it's that. Okay. Right? It's not what you're implying is that, like, oh no, it's already spoiled. Like, I don't think that there's a fear of that. I think it's probably that something unscrupulous happened, and that maybe these ethical people don't want to have blood on their hands or something like that, and they just want to get out before something blows up. That's my assumption.
Okay, but yeah, everybody's doing it. Everybody's
doing it. Yep.
And it's not just it's not just people are leaving OpenAI. It's everyone who is being tapped to monitor safety is leaving.
Yep.
And I think that is very strange. Anyway, that was our last story of the week. Yeah, we did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Stay tuned. I'm sure someone else will quit OpenAI in the next week. It does seem like a lot of people are going to Anthropic though. So that's the thing.
Yeah, it was started by former OpenAI folks. Now they're getting more.
Yep. So we do have one community note here. We've got a few questions from the Shack News community, which you can join by heading over to shacknews.com/chatty or emailing donovan.erskine@shacknews.com.
There you go.
Yeah. So we had Haas Mamu said, Bill's speed destroys Asif is hilarious. Yeah. He did kick the crap out of me last week. If you listened to that game.
Yeah, that was handy.
Although I won the game this week.
That's right. But well, we assume.
I definitely won.
Well,
it's subjective though.
No, I won. I won.
should we officially decree that Hasmamu has the power to determine the winner?
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll take it seriously. He won't be biased.
Sure.
Great.
But yeah, we'll see what he has to say. I will not protest the results. I will not send people to his house on January 6th or anything either.
Oh God.
So that's going to do it for today's show. Subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tune in every Friday for more Shack Together. Thanks for joining us again, Donovan. It's nice to have you here in the Shack News Extended Podcast universe, or the CPU, as they call it on the ticker, right? Is it still on the ticker, Joe?
Yes, it's on the ticker, and the ticker is also saying that this is Donovan's 6th time.
Wow.
Okay.
That's way more than you were ever on the Shackcast, right?
That's true. Yeah, I might have made 2 appearances on the Shackcast in its entire run. But thank you. I love doing the show.
Awesome.
Glad to be back.
We love having you.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming. Thank you, Joe, for putting together such a great thought experiment game or whatever the hell that was. And I'm glad I won. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening. If you listen this long, you probably like us. So go to your local podcast polling booth and vote for Shack Together, because we're not going back to Shackcast. We're staying in Shack Together.
That's right.
But yeah, awesome. That's it. This is where we wave at the camera that's not on and say bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Donovan. Bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Oh, and one more friendly announcement. We will be taking next week off, so we will catch you in 2 weeks from the release of today's episode. Sorry about that, but episode 27 comes out in 2 weeks, and we forgot to mention that. So have a great remainder of August, and we'll see you towards the end of it. All right, Joe out.
Production.
Shack News is a multimedia company consisting of a variety of entertainment properties, including shacknews.com, video game and cutting-edge technology coverage with evergreen video, guide, and long-read content, providing readers and viewers with the latest reviews, previews, interviews, and news. Shack News content is readable and viewable at shacknews.com, Facebook, YouTube at Shack News Interviews, and Shack News VODs, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Shack News Media, Twitch, and more. But that's not all. You can play Bubbletron, our first video game. Combine 3 ideas, hit the market, and get your money hat. Bubbletron is a daily game in the style of Wordle, where players can launch a company and see its valuation instantly. Hit that high score and brag to your friends. Visit bubbletron.com to play. There is no download required, no signups required. But if you are into app downloads, we have the cutest one on the planet. It's called Shack Pets, the ultimate battle for cuteness. Swipe your pets to victory on iOS and Android in this Tinder-like app for pets. Shack News is proud to present a variety of micro products, all available for free at shacknews.com. Cortex is a publishing platform available to all of our users. Shouts is a Twitter replacement in a time where Twitter really needs replacing. And Reader, an RSS reader that won't get shut down by Google anytime soon. You can import YouTube, subreddits, all sorts of cool stuff, even podcast feeds. And lastly, all of our products are completely free to use and play, so if you're a fan of what we're doing and want to support the Shack News ecosystem, head over to shacknews.com/Mercury. Mercury offers subscribers access to exclusive Shack News swag like hoodies and VIP access to our long reads in downloadable format. It's a great way to support us. There's different tiers, and you get a lightning bolt next to your name.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack Together is a Shack News production.
Shack News is a multimedia company